In this lecture, we want to build out the functionality for list logs. But if you remember many lectures back, we don't interact with the logs through the data library. We actually interact with it through a special library called logs. So up here where we have included the data lib, let's include underscore logs as well. And that's going to be at /logs. That library is this one here. And the first thing that we're going to want to do to list all the logs is use this lib.list function, which, if you recall, only takes in one parameter, and that is a true or false boolean indicating whether or not to include the compressed logs, that is the .gz.b64 logs instead of just the .log files. So let's go back to the CLI and start filling in this function. List logs, we're going to get rid of this console.log. We're going to call underscore logs.list, and we're going to pass it true because we do want it to include the compressed logs. And we're going to expect back an error and an array of log file names. If there is no error, and log file names is truthy, and log file names length is greater than 0, we're going to continue, otherwise we'll do nothing. Before we print out anything else, we want to print out a vertical space to give this response some room. And now for each of the log file names, we want to cycle through them using a for each loop, which will give us log file name. But now we actually want to get rid of the logs that haven't been compressed. We just want to list out the logs that have. And so let's actually change the description that we put up here to show a list of log files available to be read, compressed only. And now back to our for each loop, we want to say if the log file name includes the string dash, then we want to continue. We're checking for the string dash because if you remember, the logs here, when they are compressed, they have the original log file name, and then a dash, and then a timestamp, and then .gz.b64. While the uncompressed logs just have the id.log. So we're going to check for the dash to make sure that we're only including the compressed lines in this list. So if it matches, then we want to log it out, console log file name, and then a vertical space. Now let's start up the app and try this out. List logs. Looks like all the logs are being listed, but we have some kind of issue with the name that is passing through. We are getting the log ID, and then a dash, then a timestamp, and then the word undefined. There might be an issue in our log library, and yes, it looks like we just have a typo in this replace that we did. We have an extra parentheses in here, and we need to move the outer parentheses out here. So let's try this again. List logs, and there we go. We have each of the compressed logs listed out one by one. That's working fine. So let's kill this app and move on to the next lecture.